Recording in progress. Good morning. Good morning, Chairperson. See, else is here.
Morning, Mandy.
Morning to everyone. I'm seeing the picture of Chairperson, all members already present and colleagues. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, all.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, all.
Good morning, Honorable Dennis.
How are you, Chairperson?
Morning.
We enjoyed some lovely rain in Cape Town yesterday.
What, Honorable Dennis?
I say we enjoyed some lovely rain in Cape Town yesterday.
It was lovely. It was
Yeah,
good.
it was welcome. We welcome the rain.
Yes, after
We will never complain about rain again in Cape Town after day zero. After day zero.
Not at all.
Morning all.
Morning, honorable member.
Morning, Chair. Morning, members.
Morning, honorable member. Good morning, honorable members. I've seen that the minister is with us, as I'm aware that there's a cabinet meeting today. I'm greeting Minister, welcoming him back from Russia. Honorable members, on behalf of your good selves, would love that today we must pass our heartfelt condolences to the family of late former Springbok player, Hans Strijdom. We are aware that he passed on Monday, and he was part of Springbok players who were crowned the world champions in 1995. Surely our thoughts and prayers are with the family during this difficult and the Springbok themselves. May his soul rest in peace. And it come to also to my attention that also one of our dual person called Mark Ranchel, also who's a popular musician, and was popular in 1990. He's coming from Alex in Diepskloof, and so he passed on after a long illness. May this soul rest in peace. Let's have just a few minutes of silence respecting this legend of ours. May their soul rest in peace, honorable members. Honorable members, as we are part of this committee, we also would love to congratulate Bafana Bafana, watch them on their World Cup group stage victory against Benin on Saturday. It was very an interesting match, but now we are aware that they are having an outstanding achievement in securing the points, which those points are 3 points, has made our nation immensely proud. We wish the very best, as we are aware that later today, they will be playing against Rwanda. So we are wishing them that they must do the best for the country. And also, honorable members, South Africa, it's a sport-loving country. We've seen and we watch, and now we are congratulating Mamelodi Sundowns ladies team on their remarkable also achievement of securing the CAF Women's Championship. To achieve and secure the CAF Women's Champion League title for the second consecutive time. It's adding to our pride. It's our unprecedented spirit of claiming the title without conceding a single goal throughout your journey to glory. We are proud of you, Mantombazana. This is a country of legend of sport. This country, we are proud. We do saying that keep up the good work ministry to support all sports people and art people. We are seeing that you are doing well. Thank you so much. By those words, I'm opening this meeting of today. And if I can give it to Mandisa to introduce and give us the apology from the ministry. As chairperson, I have an apology of the Honorable Minister who's going to leave us for a cabinet committee. And then the DM is not yet back from outside the country, but further I'll hear from you, Mandisa. Also, the acting DG is not yet back. So can Mandisa take us through who's here and confirming the apologies that we've received as a administrative league or of this committee. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to all the honorable members. Myself is Mandisa Chikwatamba. I'm not going to carry my video for too long, but I'll take it off once I've done all the introductions. Honorable members, all the colleagues from NHC and from DSEC and from Parliament that are here, good morning. Chairperson Minister is also already in the meeting. Yes, I can confirm the apology that you spoke to, that he may not sit throughout the meeting. The acting DG, I confirm the apology that Chairperson has made. I add to those apologies of our senior or executive members. DM, I confirm the apology that has been made. Then I go to our executives. DDG Khan could not join this meeting. DDG Ndima is also traveling, could not join the meeting, but there is an acting DDG that is present, who is Mr. Evan Langefeld. He is coming with the full team from the Heritage Promotion and Preservation Unit. I've seen we already have Mr. Kekana. We have Ms. Tembi Malau. I've also seen we also have the Office of the DG represented by Mr. Ludwig Bepi. Also have from Entities Management, Mr. Sbusiso Tsanyane, who is the Director for Entities Management. If anyone has joined whilst I'm talking that I've seen, it's Miss Megane, who is the HOO in the Office of the Deputy Minister, who is currently as well our Chief of Staff. I will pause the chairperson with an acknowledgement that the National Heritage Council is in the meeting, led by the chairperson, who will do introductions at the right time. But our chairperson is still Mr. Edgar Luvaleni. Neluvaleni. So I am pausing the chairperson to allow perhaps chairperson to give over to Mr. Neluvaleni for introductions of the NHC.
Thank you, Mandy. Can I give it to the leadership and the chairperson, the leader of National Heritage Council, to introduce and give us the apologies if they are? I thank you. You are welcome in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, and honorable members of the Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture. And thank you so much. With me, I have, and thank you also, DDG. With me, I have 4 members of the council, one being the independent chair of the ARC, Mrs. Piri, Margaret Piri. Also with us is Dr. Domini, who is also chairperson of a committee. Also with us here, we have got Miss May Esther Nechibongweni, also Mr. Jabulani Sitole, who is deputy chairperson. And we then also have the CEO, Mr. Ndibo Rukareni. We also have the CFO, who is Mbali Manukuza. We also have a manager of core business, who is Mr. Tabo Manetsi, and we also have our company secretary. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edna. I've seen Umandi, can't pronounce your surname, and I don't want to be like Mandi.
I could hear DDG was also struggling. It's yes, Nelu Balani. Thank you.
Nelu
Balani.
Hey, you know, we once held Mr. I've forgotten. I can't pronounce. He was part of the administration in the caucus of the ruling party, but now he's a chief. Hey, it was not easy to pronounce that. Our always calling chief, our apology. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable members, can I give it to our secretary today, which is Jabu, to give us the apologies that we are having? I thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. We don't have any apologies, Chairperson, except for the ones we received from the DSEC Chair. Thank you. As tabled.
Oh, I'm trying to check with the member who did forward an apology to me. Now is in she's on sick leave. Honorable Adams, and I was having an apology of Honorable Zondi. He may join us, but so far he's not yet in. He indicated. Honorable members, in that point, can I ask honorable members to adopt the agenda of today? I would love to wait for your hands. You don't want us to start the meeting. I can't get any hand. Okay. Honorable Sibia.
Thanks, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone. I would like to adopt the agenda as it is. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sibia. Honorable Veronica.
Thank you, Chair. I second the proposal.
Thank you, Honorable Sibia and Honorable Dudusile. The agenda has been adopted. Let me take this opportunity to give the platform to our minister as a leader of the delegation today. To you, Honorable Minister, we've already welcomed you in the meeting. Honorable Minister Zizigodo. Honorable Good Enough Zizigodo. Mandi, I'm calling a minister whom you confirm that he is here. Also, I've seen that he is in here. Can anyone talk? Yes, talk to me, Mandi. What is going on?
I'm not sure, Chairperson, what is going on. But I was going to request, Chair, that we proceed. Maybe Minister, often his network is not too good. So I think he is in one of those situations. We
And
note
now
that
he's out as I'm speaking, or he is in here now. I would love that the office of the minister, immediately the two ministers joined the meeting. I've seen even Honorable Mtetwa, who's in Gauteng, Ujab is indicating, saying that he's having a network problem, will be in and out. I would love Mandisa and the office of the minister, immediately the two ministers joined, you must always try to check where is he, because I must not call you minister whilst you are aware that he is having a problem. Can now I give it to you, Acting DG, to take us through the
thanks.
overview part of it, yes.
Thanks, Chairperson. Maybe let me do right first and say, Mr. Edgar Neluvalani, because I'm realizing, Chairperson, I've never called Chairperson with his surname, so I was even trying to track it. This thing of saying Chairperson, all right. Okay, thank you very much, and good morning. Once again, I hope I am allowed to present with my video off. I did show it's still me with my short hair today. The presentation that we are having, Chairperson, is just an outline of what we have picked up as we look into the reports for NHC in a way of inviting them as well to say, please be specific when you are reporting to the committee on these areas. In terms of the mandate, Chair, and the presentation outline, we are following the same standard as all other entities that we come and present here. I won't go to the list we shall find as we go through the slides. You can proceed, my pilot. Mandate-wise, I can summarize, Chair, by saying the mandate remains focused on developing and promoting as well as protecting national heritage. For the council, focus being the coordination and management of this national heritage, working through other authorities that are within the heritage space, as well as making sure that there is access to this valuable heritage of our country. And it is useful in terms of the heritage value and its applications, whether for indigenous knowledge purposes, for social upliftment, for learning, for economic activities, as well as for promotion and protection of our culture. I think in that summary, I have finished the lines that are in the slide. Thank you. Sorry, in terms of the non-financial performance, they have dropped a bit in the report of 2022-23 financial year. We have already spoken to say they may just have to articulate causes to that drop. But what we have seen and understood engaging with them is that within the year, they had some projects that they had to can based on some instruction notes that came. For example, there was a time at the beginning of the year where there was a National Treasury instruction note that affected procurement. And towards the year end, there have been issues that made us to make some adjustments in our budgets as well, that have caused as well some adjustments in the APP, but they will talk to that in detail. Thank you. Financially, their budget is a budget that is static, just increasing on annual year increments or affected by adjustments in budget cuts that we are receiving and transferring to them when necessary. Otherwise, their financial allocation, there is no exception there. Audit outcomes, again, we wish they can still go back to the clean audit, but they seem to be stuck with unqualified with findings. As we go to the next slide, which you may do, co-pilot, we are going to see some of the things that are troubling them. There have been issues of recurring irregular expenditure. When I looked at their report, in what is reported in the year we are reporting under here, most of the findings, they are coming from prior year. It's what they are recurring from prior year. And then they also have some supply chain matters as well. That they will pronounce in detail, in addition to some adjustments in their financial statements that they had to make as well, that were recognized by AG. Yes, we can proceed. Composition of the council. Composition of the council, currently the council, if we go through the next slides as well, is still showing the composition of the council. They have 7 females and 9 males in total, a council that is made of various combinations, those that are appointed at the discretion of the minister, those that come from the provinces, those that come from other heritage institutions. So at least within that combination, we have managed this 7 to 9 female to male ratio. We can proceed. Still speaking to some oversight activities, council committee members, as I've spoken to say there are 16 in the year we're reporting under. The number of council meetings has been fairly stagnant, where they have a bit of more that happened. It's of the council committee meetings, and I think it's when some of the committees, maybe they have been looking into some issues in terms of the legal issues that they are still contending with. As we may remember that there have been some forensic activities that have been taking place in the entity relating to historical matters, which are still under current discussions pertaining to some executive members who are no longer in the organization. I think other than that, there is nothing as an exception to report or to highlight. In participating in our governance engagements and structure arrangement of engagements with the entities, they have been fully participating in all the forums that we have set for engaging with the entities. The Development Agencies Forum, the CEOs Forum, the Chairpersons Forum, as well as the CEOs Forum. So that helps us to know what is happening with them and around them. Thank you. The composition of executive management, I can highlight, Chairperson, that we are not near in terms of a female to male ratio here, even though as an entity as a whole, there are more females, significantly so. But in terms of the management structure, it's 2 females, I think, versus 5 males. Yes, we can proceed. I've spoken, touched on this slide when I mentioned that in terms of the whole organization, gender representation, they do have at least a significant number of females, 28 versus 18 males. Yes, where they may still have to do something for representations on the colored race representation. Thank you. Investigations and legal update is attached on it that they are still dealing with matters of yesterday that are court matters of today. The former CEO, as we shall remember, left under the cloud of some allegations that led to some investigations that also touched on some of the executives. But when the entity finalized its own internal investigation, forensic investigation, it found merit for its report to be referred to the Special Investigations Unit. So they still have matters under SIU. I think Chairperson will speak elaborately on those. Under general internal legal matters, at least looking at the size of the organization and their turnaround time in dealing with their matters, we are happy on that level, Chairperson and honorable members. At least when we're tracking their matters, they are doing their best to finalize them within prescribed window periods, except for matters that have to be referred to external authorities. Thank you, Chairperson. I think I stop there.
Thank you so much, Mandisa. DG can now give it to the minister. If you want to say something out of your presentation, and he must greet us and tell what brought for us from Russia.
Good morning, Chairperson. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. My apologies sincerely. At the beginning, I had. Good morning to you, members of the committee, honorable members.
We can't hear you, Minister. We can't hear you. Oh God. We can't hear you, Minister. Minister is talking, but we can't hear him. We can't hear you, Minister. Can't hear you, Minister.
Hello, Chairperson.
Yeah, now you can start afresh. We didn't hear you at all.
I was just saying, Chairperson, thank you very much. And my apologies earlier. I had some connectivity problems where I am at the moment. Thank you to members of the committee as well as the leadership of the NHC, which has appeared before the PC today. Just to add to your positive congratulatory message, Chairperson, in your introductory remarks. This week, we are hosting a very huge meeting in Cape Town, which is the Federation of Professional Footballers in the world. It's very historic in many ways. We'll be talking and addressing that forum today, quite significant for the development of sport in our country, that we're hosting such a very important and very significant forum of professional footballers of the world. And I thought I should just make that point. We were supposed to receive Sundowns ladies later today, which they've done us proud, like you indicated. Unfortunately, we are here. And I think at some point, appropriately, both ourselves and the committee, we may need to congratulate them appropriately because the issues around women's sport are quite very important. And I think what they've done us proud, really. They've laid a foundation for us to make this noise about professionalizing women's sport, particularly football. And I think they've done us proud as Mamelodi Sundowns, as champions now of the continent. And I think our presence, especially of the entity, will clarify a few issues, Chairperson. There's been a lot of issues even before some of us came to the portfolio about NHC. And I'm happy that Acting DG Mandisa that has already highlighted some of those issues. We're almost at very advanced stage to deal with issues that have, in my view, damaged the standing and the image of the entity. And I think soon those issues dealt with by relevant state authorities. But I think the presence of the entity today should be able to address and lay fears of the members about what is it that we are doing to address those issues, either issues of irregularity, either issues of wasteful expenditure. But I think the fact that we have the leadership now that is quite stable, that helps us to address some of those issues. And of course, I do appreciate that you have mentioned that I do have an in and out apology because there are a few other meetings, including the cabinet committee, that I needed to attend. But thank you very much for those few remarks, Chairperson. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We'll hear from you about receiving the girls. I've seen in the social media that there are people who are complaining that no one received our cricket boys who have done excellent. As the committee also, really, you were not around as minister, but we're around as committee. No one did invite us. I'm suspecting you must have an apology to our cricket South Africa, because we supported them. But in order that when people are talking like that, as just now we are saying that you were busy, please pass our apology on behalf of the department and committee not to welcome them. As you are aware that we're all over during the registration weekend. Thank you so much, Minister. Honorable members, we are thanking our Minister. We are releasing him if he can join us before we end it, but we are in the safe hands of other leadership from the department. Can I take this opportunity to give now the leadership of National Heritage Council to take us through? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and honorable and esteemed members of the Portfolio Committee. Truly appreciate your time that you have afforded us at the NHC together with the department. Also just echo the words of the DDG and also our minister as well, that indeed the NHC at this moment, the third year of this council, which has seen a lot of changes happen within the entity since we came in. The challenges that we found, which were really, really very difficult and complex, and the issues that we have dealt with. And this is my third time to appear before this esteemed committee. And some of you would know some of the issues that we had to grapple with. I always appreciate the robust nature in which the way in which members always, engage with us, and the questions that come, the concerns that are raised. We appreciate them always, and they help us to be alert at all time, on our feet at all the time. We do appreciate that we are very much accountable as an entity to the public of South Africa, and we appreciate that position very much. And that's why we are here today, Chair, to provide you with our annual report. And I'm at a position where I could proudly say we are in a situation where we are really turning the corner completely with an established management structure, unlike what we had to deal with when we came in. We have a new CFO, a young lady who is very well capable and doing a lot to restructure and reestablish things within our finances, Mbali. So we appreciate that so much. We have a new a CS, a company secretary. We also have a new core business manager, Dr. Manetsi, who is very well known within the sector as well and doing very well. We also have a new strategy manager, executive, who is also doing very well, Palisa Kadi. And so things are on the mend, and we really do appreciate the changes that are happening. We see a lot of stability, unlike what we've had to deal with. As the minister has said, and the DDG said, we had too many court issues happening, not because of our choice or liking, because we had to implement, recommendations of the forensic audit, and as the DDG has said, and the minister has said, and then these things have been referred now to relevant law enforcement authority with a case number available. We are not sure how far they are with the process, but they will always let us know how it is going. But, as far as we are concerned internally, we have done whatever possible we could to adhere to the recommendations and to reorder and, reinstitute good governance within the entity. And things are moving well. And the things that CEO will emphasize on in terms of, obviously, the irregular expenditure that is seen, that may raise alarm, but these are mostly carryover issues from the previous years, and they still affect our outlook today, unfortunately. And so we have to deal with, but I think this is probably the final year where we had to be reporting on that, and we expect a very clean audit moving forward. And the issues of technicality, which has to do with procurement processes, a treasury note that was overlooked by the SCM manager, and we are dealing with that internally in terms of corrective measures, members and chair. And so those things are being dealt with, and we believe that there will be great improvement. And CEO will also explain further what DDG alluded to in terms of performance this year, which is for reasons beyond our control, really, why we've seen that kind of a drop. Where we have control, we've sought to really make things happen within the NHC. But I'm proud to say there are many highlights of things that we've done, in celebrating, obviously, looking at our 30 years of democracy now and what it means for South African and the valuable heritage that we have in our nation across the length and the breadth of our nation, inclusively of all races, of all tribes, of all colors. And we believe that we represent that, and we have a duty, and we are duty bound to bring all South Africans together to celebrate their heritage in various ways. So we are so very much appreciative also for the presidential stimulus funding that came in through to add to our funding to get our South Africans working, but also celebrating and documenting our various intangible heritage throughout the country in all provinces. We have seen, since this has happened, and a hype of activity in all provinces, obviously not without challenges, and we are dealing with those challenges to ensure that the money that has been distributed is used for what it's meant to, and we can report on that without any failure. So, Chair, I want to just hand over with that without any waste of time to the CEO just to take further this presentation, and then we could hand over to you, Chair. CEO.
Thank you.
Sorry, yes. Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to the Chairperson of the committee, to the Minister, to the honorable members, as well as the colleagues from both the DSEC and the entity. I will start on the turnaround strategy that the Council was driving, which include, amongst others, bringing back the professionalism, accountability, and financial sustainability. And the professionalism and accountability, you see it in the policies that the Council approved and revised some of those that were seen to be starting to be relevant. And there's been a focus on high impact legacy and pioneering national initiatives. And then there was clarity and to articulate the indispensable coordinating role of the NHC from within. And in pursuit of item 3, we have entered into a number of agreements with sister entities like Boxing SA, Video and Film, etc., so that we can collaborate on eating this elephant piece by piece. Item 4 was to foreground the NHC as a key player within the national cohesion agenda, and wherever the minister has been attending key events, we have also been part of those who have erected the stand and popularized what we do. And we are fully cognizant of the changes within DSEC, and we are also in the process of finding a permanent residence that will follow what we do. We have been deliberate in strengthening the research and development capacity of the NHC. Most of the recent employment contracting reflect that. And with that, we have been able to then use less of the external panel of experts and relied more on in-house. And we have been strengthening the position of the NHC as guided by the white paper. Proceeding to the next slide. The next slide just brings back the mandate that we have as a result of Section 10. I won't go through that. It's really now common knowledge of our mandate. We can move to the next slide. The next slide is on governance, where we continue to be guided by the King 4 report. And it is at the back of that we have seriously constituted the ethics and social committees, and it's fully functional. And we have also been popularizing the anti-corruption and anti-fraud reporting and the protection of whistleblowers, as well as the policies contingent to that. And most of the policies that are either approved or in the process of really speak to good governance in a way. And so all committees have got charters. The Council also has a revised charters. Ourselves as management also have a revised charter. And in line with all other entities, we were also in Cape Town to sign our shareholder compact with the minister, which then becomes our marching orders for what we are to perform. And we have been complying with the reporting aspects of our quarterly report. Next slide, please. On the council committees, we have all these committees functional, audit and risk, dominated by full independent members, and our core business, heritage programs and research committee, and our corporate, which is REMCO, social and ethics, which is the latest addition in our committees. And it's one of those that really aligns us with the King 4. And then the meetings of ordinary council took place as they should be. And in addition to that, we also looked at reviewing the strategy by way of the workshops facilitated to get that right. Next slide, please. We also had a relook at our structure to make sure that it's still current. And the guiding aspect here was to ensure that the core, it's where the resources are placed. And so there was that agreement. And this structure now speaks to the research and advisory capacity that we talked about, that we aim to bring to the fore, obviously with all the other supporting aspects of IT, audit, HR. Next slide, please. The personnel costs, which are the ones that we monitor very closely. At the moment, we sit at 45% of the personnel expenditure as a percentage of total expenditure. It has increased from last year, but the reason speaks to what I said about deliberately increasing the research capacity in-house. And so it has resulted in that readjustment upwards of that percentage. So the figures are there, except for that one, really, there isn't much. What you will note here, especially on the slide below, is that there is a deliberate use, the previous slide, please, sorry for that. There is a deliberate use of the interns as part of training them, and also our responsibility to ensure that unemployed graduates enter our ranks. So you will see that almost 9% of our staff complement its interns. And it's something that we are proud of. I think it's something that we are not shying away from our responsibilities, such that some sitters have also volunteered to give us interns and pay for them. The next slide, please. Okay, on the staff leaving the organization, unfortunately, one of our senior members passed on during the financial year. Mr. Siseko Nchanga passed on, unfortunately. And then there were also 5 resignations, and there were also 3 final return warnings, and two dismissals. So 2 dismissals and 3 final return warnings, just speaking to the governance issues. Next slide, please. Okay. The next slide is just one showing the governance protocol for our organization, where you will have the council, the committees, myself, and then we've got a funding committee with also external members assisting in adjudicating and looking after compliance. As the chair was saying, we now are also participating in the PES 3 and 4, something which we've just started now, and we continue to have our own funding. Then there's project management that we do on behalf of the department, especially on the 27 RLHR sites. And we have been doing that, and even last week we coordinated the whole provinces so that we can ensure that there's synergies, learning from each other, and that work is happening as it should be. Next slide, please. The next slide now talks of the flagships where we talk about the liberation routes. We also managed to have the national inventory started. We have the Golden Shield Awards, which we had and honored some people that we felt were not adequately honored. We continued with the Heritage Education School program. Last year we had it in Northwest. We continued to have the Ubuntu honors on nation building and social cohesion. And then we continued with the public engagements. We had educational seminars, lectures on dialogues. I think most of them held in our own venues. I think one of it was on the June 16 issues, where we combined the school kids and those who participated at Freedom Park. And there was a robust debate there. And the one of it was also at the Constitutional Hill, where we also continued with intergenerational debates. We also had well-publicized debate on the Lily's Leaf Farm and its significance, well-attended event, and a lot of people participated, and a lot of learning took place. And as I said, we are now on the PESP 4 and PESP 3 together with our normal funding. Next slide, please. The next slide is just an overview of the funds that we dispersed, 62 million, and then there were 67 beneficiaries attached to that money, and the jobs created were in excess of 6,000. This is an area where we continue to improve in contracting, because we offer this money in tranches, and we have to ensure that once you get the first tranche, you continue to do the contracted jobs as you have alluded to. So this year's adverts were upfront, saying that upfront giving guidelines to say if you are applying for money between this and that, so these are the minimum jobs that you have to come with. If you can't come with that, then don't bother. So instead of it coming later at contracting, it just informs people to say, this is part of the non-negotiable. And then Golden Shield Awards, 23 recipients, even runner-ups, including people like Prof. Pitikan Tuli, Maria Lidwaba, and others. Were really honored as people that we feel should also be noted on this Golden Shield Awards. We also managed to recognize one of the former employee of the department, Mr. Temba Wakashe. He got, I think, lifetime awards for all his sacrifice towards ensuring that heritage is where it is today. And we are really proud of one of that award amongst others. We felt it was really quite strategic and quite necessary. Now, HESOPs, unfortunately, one of the province still does not want to participate, but we haven't given up. So we had 8 provinces represented there. And then with the traditional houses, we have managed to enter into 3 agreements. One that I particularly want to focus on is the Northern Cape one, where we, through this relationship, we managed really to get the AMACOS and the traditional leaders to publicize our own programs such that they are known. And as a result, we found these provinces that we have got MOUs with responded very favorably to our calls for funding, because one issue that we are having is we call for funding and then no one comes. We also managed to honor and support and be visible in one of the Kgosigadi in Matividi as part of strengthening the role of women leadership in traditional leadership and highlighting it as something that must happen, something that must be accepted, and something that must be popularized. And then we awarded as much as 62 million on the past 3 in various provinces, and all provinces were represented. Next slide, please. If we look at, and then our own funding, other than the past 3, we awarded 32 NGOs or groupings, all spread very nicely within provinces, and it is to the tune of 7 million. And we think it's monies that really NGOs come with things that they want to assist us with. With your permission, Chairperson, I would request that the CFO takes the next part. Thank you.
CFO.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to the Minister, the Chairperson, the Council members, and all the committee members. I'll start with the statement of financial position. Chair, we actually did very well on our statement of financial position. We have a strong asset base. You will note that our assets are 169 million, while our liabilities are 127 million. So we actually have more assets than the liabilities, which means we are very liquid and we are very, very solvent. And you will note, Chair, that in terms of our cash and cash equivalents, they have increased to 105 million because of the Presidential Economic Stimulus Program that we are running during the year, which we pay in tranches. So the first tranche was paid before the end of the financial year, and the remaining tranches were paid in the current financial year, which explains the cash balance that we have. And also, Chair, on the prepayments of 61 million, all of them, they are relating to the first tranche payments that were made for the Presidential Economic Stimulus Program. And as and when the projects report, then we're able to expense the prepayments. So, but roughly, Chair, we are doing well because this has contributed to us having a healthy balance sheet. On our liabilities, we do have payables of 11 million, our day-to-day suppliers, and on average, we do pay them within 15.5 days. So it was actually quite encouraging, and it was noted also by the AG that we are improving on the number of days that we are taking to pay our suppliers. Our deferred income of 114 million, it's mainly because of the PESP, the portion that is yet to be paid, as well as a portion relating to the PMO project as well. So as and when the projects are reporting, then we disperse the remaining funds. Hence, we have that 114 million sitting under deferred income. Can go through to the next slide. The next slide. On our statement of financial performance, Chair, as indicated by the acting DG, we did receive a grant of 73 million. And from that 73 million, together with the interest generated in the bank of 1.8, we spent about 74 million. This is quite an increase in our expenditure if you compare it to the previous financial year, wherein our expenditure was 56 million. And it speaks to the heritage projects that we're implementing during the year. There was quite a big drive from the council to make sure that we deliver on the APP targets and that the monies are not returned and that we do spend the money to be sure that we meet our mandate as the NHC. And I think we did that successfully. Hence, we were able to spend the money towards the projects, the heritage projects of the NHC. And this was able to decrease our surplus from 18 million to 4.6 million. And even that surplus of 4.6, it's not a true surplus per se, Chair, because we still had to buy capital assets. So part of this 4.6, it actually went towards our balance sheet and our fixed assets as part of buying some of the laptops for our staff because of the online working conditions where we're purchasing more equipment. So truly speaking, we spent almost all the money that we got from the department in line with fulfilling the mandate of the NHC. Next slide. Next slide. On our fruitless expenditure, we did not incur any fruitless expenditure during the year. We did intensify on our internal controls to be sure that we prevent occurrences and incidents of fruitless expenditure. On the irregular expenditure, I do note that there was a question that was posed also on the chat regarding the irregular expenditure. We do not have new cases of irregular expenditure per se during the year. I can summarize the irregular expenditure into three categories. Number one, which is the majority of it, it's carryover from the previous financial years because these are multi-year contracts. As you will note, there's about 2.7 million for the rental of the office space, which was a 5-year contract. So as and when we are paying these invoices, we are disclosing it as irregular expenditure. So it's not necessarily new irregular that is being incurred in the current financial year. And like the chairperson of the council indicated, as soon as these multi-year contracts come to an end, we will not be having any more instances of irregular expenditure emanating from the previous years. The second category, it will be the irregular expenditure that we incurred as part of cleaning up our operations. You will note, Chair, that we do have, we had to incur some legal fees. We had to incur disciplinary costs. We had to incur forensic costs as part of our processes of implementing consequence management. And while this resulted in irregular expenditure, it was actually well received by the AG because you will note when you go to our audit report that we did not have a finding of a lack of consequence management in the current financial year, in the 22-23 financial year, because the AG did recognize that a lot of work was done by the NHC to clean up the house. And yes, the unintended consequence was the irregular expenditure, understandably so, because the people that were being investigated are still the same people who were doing the procurement, like the former CFO, the former SCM manager, as well as the former CEO. So, but it was understood by the AG and they actually sort of applauded us in removing the finding on lack of consequence management. The third category, it's what the chair alluded to together with the CEO. It's a technicality when we use the outdated procurement regulations. But Chair, there's been a lot of work that has been done. We've already done disciplinary action. And as we're speaking right now, we are undergoing a disciplinary process with the SCM manager responsible for this oversight. And we have also updated all our SCM policies to be sure that we are using the correct regulations to prevent such instances of irregular expenditure. But other than that, Chair, there were not necessarily new cases of irregular, and all the cases, as we indicated, it's either we have done the disciplinary processes, we've issued warnings, and others are going through the necessary disciplinary hearings, and also we've started with the process of condoning the irregular expenditure by National Treasury. We've given ourselves a target of March to make sure that by March 2024, all the irregular expenditure is condoned. And if we are able to successfully do that, we'll be on our way to getting a clean audit report. The next slide. Next slide. On our audit outcomes, the acting DG did mention that we have maintained an unqualified audit when you compare it to the previous financial year. We also need to highlight, Chair, that in the previous financial year, yes, we had an unqualified audit report, but we had 3 material findings on the audit report relating to irregular expenditure, relating to misstatements in the annual financial statements, as well as relating to lack of consequence management. These were the 3 major findings on the actual audit report. And if you check on the current year's audit report, while we've still maintained an unqualified audit, but we do not have findings on misstatements on the annual financial statements, we're actually commended by the AG on the management report that we submitted financial statements without any misstatements. We do not have any findings on the lack of consequence management. As I mentioned, that the AG actually, they well received the action that we've taken to clean up the house, as our intentional act of making sure that we deal with the irregular expenditure that was incurred in the previous financial year. Hence the finding that we had in the previous financial year on lack of consequence management, it actually fell away in the current financial year. The only finding that we have, which is what costed us a clean audit, it was the irregular expenditure. And again, Chair, we must put it into context that, as I indicated, these are not new cases of irregular. They're actually a carryover from the previous financial years. So we tried to argue with the AG, but we can show that we've cleaned up the house, and these are things that are coming from the previous financial years. But in terms of their audit methodology, as long as there's irregular expenditure, we can't get a clean audit report. But now we are dealing with all these cases in terms of trying to condone it, and also the multi-year contracts. Most of them are coming to an end. The one for our office space is coming to an end in June 2024. So once we have dealt with that one, which is the biggest one, we shouldn't be having any more cases of irregular expenditure. And Chair, we can safely confirm that in the current financial year, the 23-24 financial year, we are not incurring new cases of irregular expenditure. We are still having the ones that I carry forward from the previous 3, 4, 5 financial years emanating from the multi-year contracts. But other than that, we don't have new cases of irregular expenditure. And as I indicated, should we be able to get it condoned before year end, we should be on our way to getting a clean audit report in the 23-24 financial year. I'll stop here, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. That is the end of our presentation and our report, Chair, and much appreciation for your time once again, and thank you to all members. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I'm very worried that your presentation and talking to it, Umbali took all my questions that I wanted to raise, because she reflected and even giving the targets, the target which is much on all what I was thinking that is written here, but I do get explanation. My questions are falling out because of the clarification. Can I take the hands? I've seen Honorable Mhlongo. Can you carry on, Honorable? Oh, I was passing. Honorable members, Honorable Sibia, Honorable Van Dijk, Honorable Maloman. I was about to give you Honorable Mhlongo, because honorable members, they were not raising their head. Honorable Joseph, Honorable Mamabolo. In that order, honorable members, Honorable Mhlongo.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we welcome the presentation. And Chair, I don't want to sound like an old guy with an old status of I've been in this committee. I think this is the second time we have the new so-called council and the new CEO. And I don't think succession planning is so important. And I don't see us going forward when they say it happened previously, we are addressing it and we are on track, we are cleaning the house. One of the questions that I wanted to find out exactly, even regarding the contingency liability of 100,000, which is attached on this case study. What happened to it? They don't tell us. There's no openness on your presentation. The legal fees. If you are cleaning a house, you have legal fees. At what cost? Did you follow supply chain management? And one of the things that I wanted to find out above all, the executive strategy plan and the implementation thereof. I want to ask the chairperson, what is the status of South African Geographical Council when we declare, or so to say, people resign in council? Now, one of the other...
Honorable Mhlongo, can they take off the presentation on the screen?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, another question on this, the former CEO. I think there's a findings that from CCMA that the entity must pay back the executive of core business an amount of plus minus 900,000 plus minus in related to the presentation on page 115 on your annual report. What is the status thereof? Can we get information? What I'm trying to say, we don't have an open presentation or open conversation for us, for the entity to account. And the chairperson started clearly to say they are starting afresh. When did you start as this council? When was your term of office started? When did it start? And then you take it from there, that you are cleaning the house. And apart from the presentation from the CFO, I think she's claiming that all recommendation from the AG are implemented? Can we list them and see that you are implementing all the findings, the recommendation from the AG? And when it comes to council implementation of those recommendations, I think we question that. And on your Supply Chain Management Act, I think you failed. It's clearly, and let's not blame the previous council. Succession planning, this is 2022, 2023 funding. It's not the previous. You are in charge. Yes, there are issues that happened previously, but there are issues that happened now when you address that. You cannot correct a wrong with a wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. And one of the question I wanted to find out, Chair, the provinces regarding your school heritage education, which province did not qualify? You stated here in the presentation that there are 8. Can just have a name of that province. And then the total cost of legal fees when you are addressing the so-called cleaning the house. What is the total fee? And do you follow processes for you to appoint the cleaning part? And I think we want to get an explanation. Maybe that is the last question. The 4 million irregular expenditure. Can you break it down and why was it that you have that? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank
And
you,
I'll have follow-up.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Msongo. Honorable CB.
Thanks, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone. Thanks for the presentation. Chairperson, the irregular expenditure is partly covered by Honorable Mhlo, but it has been said that we audit report, and the entity achieved an unqualified audit for the second year in succession. The audit report indicates that there is irregular expenditure of 4.6 million. And in 2021-2022 financial year, audit report established an irregular expenditure, which has been said by you, Honorable Mhlo. In both cases, the cause of irregular expenditure is the entity's failure to comply with supply chain management regulations. Why did the entity flout supply chain regulations? The second one, how do you plan to prevent this finding during the current financial year? With staff resignations, 5 staff members resigned from the entity during 2022 and 2023. 4 resignations were senior managers. Who are those senior managers? What were their portfolios? What are the push of factors? What impact did the resignations have? How does the top management plan to mitigate the resignations of senior managers? Again, we National NHC, one of the critical elements of the entity's turnaround strategy is to hire highly qualified and experienced executives in heritage to restore financial sustainability and ensure good governance. However, during the term under review, 4 senior managers, as has been said, how does the entity plan to fill those vacancies and restore its strategy? It is imperative to note that the CCMA and Labour Court are reviewing serious legal matters surrounding insubordination, corruption, theft, and fraud. The department and entity must take urgent and assertive measures to expedite the process to avoid further delays and ensure a more positive audit outcome. How do they plan to guarantee that these investigations are promptly resolved? I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sbiya. Honorable Van Dijk.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you also for the presentation. My questions are as follows. The majority of the irregular expenditure was caused by non-compliance with supply chain management laws and regulations. Can you give us an indication what consequence management has been put in place regarding this? On slide 15, with regards to the council appointing a company to conduct a forensic investigation into allegations, and eventually of the CEO, and this report has been completed 2022. Can we receive that report? And I understand from the slide that this matter was now referred to the Special Investigating Unit of this and the South African Police Services for further investigation. How far is this investigation? Can we get the status, and can we also get the case number of the police? And then I want to know what is the status of the complaint report that was submitted to Minister Godbout on the conduct of the National Heritage Council chairperson. Can we get a copy of that report? Then I want to know, on slide 16 on the National Heritage Council funding towards heritage education, I just want to get clarity. If we have a Nama school, Atsama Nama school in Concordia that's teaching the children Nama, will that entity also be able to apply for funding or support? And then I also want to know, what are the reasons why the former HR, the company secretary, as well as the executive manager left? Can we please get that exit reports? And then I also want to find out, I understand Felisa Kadi, who left film and video under Cloud, is now the executive manager of National Heritage Council. I want to know on how many boards, besides the SABC board, that she serves. And then the department must explain to me how it works that you are a government employee in one entity and being able to be a board member for another. I just heard that she's almost never at work. Maybe you can just give us clarity on that. How many times does she need to leave for attending board meetings? That will be my first bite. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Van Dijk. Honorable Maloman.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Greetings to yourself, the Minister, if he is still present, the members of the committee, the staff, and our guest from department and NHC. Chair, my first question, it will be based on the issue of the consultants. I just want to find out, how has the entity used consultant during the year under review? If so, what service the consultants were doing, and how much was paid to the consultants? And also, compared to 2021-22, did the entity pay more consultants this year or what? If so, they will give the reason. The other one, it will be based on the project in Eastern Cape. Bishop Massacre Memorial Center has been in the pipeline for a while. I just want the NHC just to give us information on the progress of the development of the exhibition for the Bishop Massacre Memorial Center. And the other one, what are the challenges, if there are challenges in the implementation party faces, and how much has the entity spent on the development of the exhibition so far? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malomane. Honorable Joseph.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the department and entity for the presentation. Chairperson, I would like just to join Member Mhlongo when he's mentioned about the responsibility. I note there is a history, but I think the leadership today before this committee must own the responsibility and take it as part of them that they inherited this responsibility, but it is now theirs. So they must say, this is where we are, and we hear the turnaround strategy, which is accepted. But yes, we can't come to the committee and say, but what happened there is almost like it's nothing to do with us. We're just reporting on it. We must be part and parcel of what must be changed. and turnaround. I want to just comment also the entities well-balanced representativity on the council as well as the good attendance rate. Chairperson, I just want to ask about the chairperson mentioned about the new chairperson, Mr. Edgar Nebo Halengani. I'm trying to mention the name properly, chairperson, but the point here is that one welcomes the new CFO's passion and urgency, and as the CEO said, the new turnaround strategy. I just want to ask chairperson the question on the 3 final written warnings and the 2 dismissals. We'd like to know at what level in the entity is that taking place? It's senior management, junior, or is it just general admin staff that is affected by this information on the personnel? I think the 45%, if I interpret it correctly, total expenditure of staff cost, personnel cost, chairperson, actually is a good example of how government and the entities should proceed on cost expenditure. How was total cost expenditure? Chairperson, I would like to know what is the long-term plan for the office, because I've heard quite a number of issues raised around the office. What is the long-term plan? Do they want to move and where, and what is the budget that they have in mind to solve this office problem? And then I note the 62 million used for the funds, or 6,035 jobs, which is good. But chairperson, the question on the financial position, I would like to ask the 114 million deferred. I was not too clear exactly what it is about, but it's good to hear there's 105 million in the cash, well reported on. My question on the surplus of 4.6 million, was the computers bought in that financial year or in this current financial year? Because it was said that it is surplus but not full surplus. And if the computers and whatever was bought under the financial year that they are reporting on, then there should be a surplus, and whatever it is, they must report on. But I don't think the reporting of, yes, there is a surplus, but it's not a full surplus. That is not the way I think we should report. Then the breakdown, chairperson, on the 896,000, the legal cost, cost or services, legal services, between the functionalities of the CEO that we dealt with, and the disciplinary hearings or the labor court matters, and the deviations was another item. I would like to have the breakdown of that 896,000. And then I just want to ask if there was a legal dispute around the office of when the advert came out, and what was the 2.7 million for? And then my last question, chairperson, on the amalgamation of entities that the department is driving. I'd like to know if the entity is participating, if they know what is the time frame about these talks, and how will it affect their mandate going forward. Thank you, chairperson, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Joseph. Honorable Mamabulo.
Ke a leboga modulasetulo wa rena wa komiti mme Thujulane le tona ya tša dipapadi bokgabo le sejo ntate Zizukotwa le ge ntša sego in absentia. My questions will be only 1 or 2, Honorable Chairperson, but firstly to acknowledge and appreciate the fact that they are their assets are more than liability. I mean, in most instances you'll find your liabilities being more than the assets. My first question will be around the relationship with other structures, provincial structures. I know in Limpopo they have what we call Limpopo Heritage Council, and then how are they relating with them? Do they sit in their meetings and so forth? The other question will be to the CEO, Mr. Nelubalani. Yeah, Chairperson is called Nelubalani. That V and H, you pronounce it as B. So it will be easier for you to do it that way. Because I know I've worked with Mr. Nelubalani, not that one, the senior one, in the Limpopo Geographical Names Committee, then Limpopo. I'm trying to check or internationally, how are they marketing themselves internationally, and also to promote the Liberation Heritage Roads, and also the heritage of our country, but also to check whether do they only exist during the Heritage Month. How are they working with the department during Heritage Month, but also to promote heritage for the rest of the year. It can't just be only in September and so on. Yeah, that'll be that Chairperson, or how are they promoting our heritage globally? But what's the heritage in Spain is called Wokhwa. I'm just or now committee where number maybe to Gilan.
Ke a leboga Ntate Mamabulo. Honorable members, I'm suspecting the majority of these members are having similar question, because with the compliance, like whilst I was saying that, I was going to ask about 2 questions, but when you presented here, CFO, I heard you, but let me raise these questions for the case of emphasizing these compliance issues. Can I raise the question? The one question is, the entity received an unqualified audit opinion correctly with findings on legislation, compliance, and material misstatements in the annual financial statement submitted. Maybe it's one of those things that is not clear. What are you going to do, as Honorable Mhlongo, of the first question, and the rest of honorable members? Although the entity has improved from last year's results, it maintains the same audit outcome status. What are the plans in place to ensure that it achieves a clean audit with no findings, as it has done previously? You are saying that you have got a plan come March, as AG also indicated about that. Maybe that plan is with AG, it's not with the department and the committee. If you don't mind, there's the office of Ujabo and Zolega, which we call the secretariat. Would love to see the plan, in order that we must talk to the plan which is not yet implemented. Then the entity has been identified with material non-compliance issues. These issues are related to a lack of monitoring compliance with legislation and effective implementation of consequence management. That resulted on the issue that all the members are talking about, this irregular expenditure, which you presented in your slides. And we do emphasize on what you are saying, that you noticed and you have planned, and all those measures. What measures does your entity plan to take to prevent such irregularities from occurring in the next financial year? Correctly so, the members who are saying that you cannot say some, you find it here. You are here, and we cannot take that Honorable Ziz will be saying, no, I found this when the Honorable Nat was here. Now the department is yours. You come to us, not even referring to that. You come to say that as department, we have gap in ABC. Now this is the strategy, and we expecting that maybe let's correct this reference. We found this. We found we are not there now. Now you are leading, and when you are leading, when you come into a committee, you need to tell us that the problem with this entity and these are strategies and the plans that we are looking at. That's why I was saying that I was going to ask these questions, but because we are saying that come March, we'll be still here March as this committee before the rise of this parliament. Thank you so much for that. These two honorable members, Honorable Dennis, Honorable Mamabulo, please, your hands are still up. They are going to confuse me. Honorable Mamabulo, you are alone now. Can I give it to you, the chairperson and the colleagues that you must respond in these questions? I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair and Honorable members for your kind questions. And I really want to assure and reassure members that we do appreciate all of your questions, and also to reassure you that there's absolutely no intention or to really hide behind the past and what happened in the past. We do take full responsibility for what has happened under our watch for the past 3 years as council. And that's why we appear before you today to account on that. And we are quite open. And I would submit that also, obviously, we couldn't detail every little detail in our presentation, especially also on the financial statements and some of the individual items that are there. But we are available now to respond and to elaborate on some of the specific items that you have raised. We have received questions from Honorable Mhlongo, from Honorable Sibia, also questions from Honorable Van Dijk, also questions from Honorable Lumani, also questions from Honorable Joseph, questions also from Honorable Mamabulo, and questions from you, Honorable Chair, especially in just bringing back the emphasis on some of the common questions that members have raised, especially the 4 million odd regular expenditure that most members have raised. And so I would just be going individually, responding to each of the questions according to the order, chairperson of the members who raised the questions. And when I finish, I'll ask CEO to just elaborate on what I've left off. And I'll also allow CFO to respond and elaborate. There's been questions around breakdown, for example, of this 4 million, and CFO would be able to take that apart and break it down for the members. Just to respond to first to Honorable Mhlongo, thank you so much for your kind questions. We do take to heart your concerns about openness in the presentation. As I've said, there was no intention to hide things. It's probably just to save the time, but we are happy to elaborate more on certain details. Our books are really open. Our report is more elaborate. Our full annual report is more elaborate on a number of issues. We've got quarterly and reports, as you can imagine, that we delve into as council and also interrogate what management presents to us, and also make recommendations on actions that must be taken. And so all of that information is duly available. So we're quite happy to be much more open, honorable member, on a number of things. And also just to elaborate that this council started in 2020, in the year 2020. Actually, our appointment was in December 2019, if I'm correct, and then effectively started engaging in 2020 during the COVID years, and having come in, obviously dealing with a number of issues. There was no council, there was no permanent CEO when we came in. So, and there was already in process the appointment of a forensic audit firm that we found in motion, being run by the temporary a CEO at that time, or administrator. And so that was really just the situation that we found as we came in. So we needed to continue with that, and we needed to delve more on the responsibility that the minister had really given to us, to bring the entity back into good governance, and to embark on that and to continue with that forensic investigation, which we did, and which was finalized, recommendations tabled to the minister. And I know that there's a request for that to be made available. I'll respond to that. And the reference to the fact that, you know, what is happening now under our watch, what has happened in terms of the 4 million irregular expenditure, really, the major part of that being the rental, where our office space rental, which we found had been done already. So as council, when we came in, so it's not really an excuse on our part. We found that had already been done. So the NHC was already using those facilities when we came in as a new council. We are no longer new, it is true, and there's no reason to feel new. I'm just explaining our term of office and accountability as council. And so that, unfortunately, from the forensic investigation, was found to have been irregular. And that's why, and it was our own initiative to investigate that through the forensic investigation process, and it was found to have been irregular. That's why it has appeared in the past 3 years in our books as an irregular expenditure. Unfortunately, we couldn't get out of that. It is something that we found. And the other major part, as we explained, and CFO will elaborate much more. It was much more on the technical issue relating to a treasury note that was issued, a new treasury note that was issued, which the SCM manager in her work failed to apply. And so, as you know, as council, we only receive this in reports after the fact. We can't be involved in what happens in that office. So, and then as soon as we learned about that, we ordered, and it's in our minutes of our meetings, we ordered management to take action, corrective action, which they have been processing until to date, you know, based on that irregular expenditure. And the other one was based on legal costs. And there was also a request on the breakdown of those legal costs. And I think that has been done in previous meetings, Chair, and presented in previous meetings, but we are happy to, you know, to send that breakdown to members. It's no longer, it's an open secret that it has been reported about, also in our audits. And so we are happy to do that, Chair. And then the school heritage, whether it's in all provinces, I couldn't get that clearly. And Tatem Shongos, I'm sorry for that, but our initiatives are geared to all provinces. But there are certain projects that really happen in one province this year, another province another year, and the team always do it like this. But our aim really is to serve the entire country. Where requests are made, like what Mev Veronica raised, where applications are raised, yes, we are able to respond to all applications positively. And the Nama language is particularly one of our passions, and we would really be happy to engage with the communities there when applications are made. We are really happy to do that. So in terms of details and all of that, we are happy to give more details. There's no reason, and colleagues will add to what I've left off. Let me move faster. Honorable Sibia, why is there any regular expenditure? And I think I've spoken to that. But the other question is resignations. Why are we having so many resignations? As we have said, when we came in, there was a forensic investigation going on, and that resulted in recommendations that came from that, which we could not ignore. And out of the recommendations, our Audit and Risk Committee recommended that actions needs to be taken. Disciplinary hearings started, which were independent, done by independent chairs who are lawyers that are appointed, and that involves legal cost, obviously. These are in terms of our labor relations procedures and our act as well, and we have done everything according to our policies, HR policies. And that resulted, unfortunately, to unavoidable dismissals, which we did not want, but it had to happen. And that's what caused all these dismissals, members in the past 2-3 years. And there was a questions about what has been done so far. And as I said in my presentation, in my opening remarks, we now have a very stable structure. We have appointed in the past couple of years members, staff members and executives who are very well qualified, and we are very confident that there's stability in the entity in terms of governance at the moment. How do we ensure issues are resolved? As we said, all the audit issues and the CFO has explained, those are being resolved, and there's a report that comes to council every quarter that monitors the resolution of audit issues that were raised by the AG, and we monitor that constantly in every quarterly meeting, and we are quite confident that management is responding to that, and that's why the reassurance came from the CFO, Chairperson. Honorable Van Dyk, a number of questions, consequence management, how far that is, and I've explained that in terms of the SCM manager, procurement manager, that is, I think that was final written warning that was issued, and the CFO, since it's a reporting line, she will explain further in terms of how far that is. Obviously, there's information that would be at the moment private, just to protect the individuals and the processes that needs to happen, due processes, so as not to compromise the process by divulging personal information. In terms of investigations and the report, yes, the report was finalized, tabled to the minister. Van Dyk, I will consult, with the ministry also, but just get legal advice in terms of the information that is contained in the reports, how it can be made available. But I can assure members that there is no attempt to hide the report in any way. We are quite happy for members to know what is happening. And we can always look at the modus operandi in terms of how members can be privy to the report. And we are willing to do that. In terms of the case number, it was presented in previous years. In our last presentation to this committee, it was presented. We will make it available to members as soon as this meeting is over. And if CEO can find it during the meeting, that is not a problem to make it available, but it had already been presented to the committee. In terms of Nama School, and I've already responded to that, Van Dyk. And then the CS, the company secretary, reasons why the previous company secretary had to leave, and what happened and all of that. Yes, the previous company secretary resigned, and unfortunately, sent or emailed the resignation before any kind of an attempt to sit down. It surprised all of us, and that's when we engaged with the company secretary after, and reasons for that would be made available. I don't want to make public what things that could compromise the individual involved, which are personal, and we can always make available to the committee the report of the exit report as mentioned. And what was the other? In terms of Palisa Kadi, Mayor Van Dyk, that's another issue that I would find partly, personal as well. Yes, she's duly appointed as an employee of the NHC recently, responsible for our strategy and monitoring evaluation after the departure of the person that was occupying, as they received another position. So I would say, we are aware of a body involvement. She has declared that we always ask and expect our members to make declaration of their involvement in other boards and other areas which could be of conflict as well. So she's made those declarations, Mayor Van Dyk and members, and other things that would be of a personal nature would need to engage, on a correspondence basis, just to explain much more in terms of the extent, how much time she takes on her meetings, and all of that. That can be provided out of interest. But I can assure members that we follow due policy in terms of the NHC HR policies for staff members, all of them, and we can assure members that there's nothing untoward in terms of a appointment as a staff member at the NHC. In terms of any other issues in her past, I would say I'm unaware of anything. We did due diligence in terms of investigating and finding references and getting those references. So the process has been applied to the fullest extent of our policies, and we are assured if there's any direct complaint, even from previous employers, we are willing to have a look at that. But as of now, we are quite satisfied with her. She comes with a lot of experience. She contributes a lot into where we are as the NHC currently. Honorable Member Malumane, the use of consultants and whether there's been more consultants. Partly, I would just answer that just to say, Honorable Member, we've actually been reducing, and CEO in his presentation, I think, alluded to that by saying we are doing most of our research. We used to have a panel of experts that we would always appoint and pay to do various kinds of works on a consultancy basis for us. But this council has now, appointed the person that is responsible for our research department. And we've since been doing research in-house. We have entered into a memorandum of understanding, for example, with the University of South Africa. And they've given us students that are also helping in that research and knowledge generation. And with our support, they're in our offices. And we found that very, very useful. And it's growing our research capacity, and we are strengthening that part. So I would say there's quite a significant reduction in our dependence on outside consultants, and CEO can add more to that. In terms of the Bicho Massacre Memorial, our core business manager will clarify on that, but I would imagine that it probably relates to Sarah as responsibilities but we should have an insight on that. And also in terms of the exhibitions, officials will respond to that. Honorable Joseph, And also there was an emphasis that we should obviously take responsibility, and we do take responsibility and appreciate that, Honorable Josephs. And thank you for your appreciation of the balance of our council spread in terms of representation. We do appreciate a bit of encouragement coming from the members, and really appreciate that. In terms of resignations and dismissals, and that question we've already sort of responded to, and I did say some of them. Obviously, we lost a member, a senior staff member this year, sadly, but also it was, just one or two that left due to, new opportunities that we could not avoid, and then due to disciplinary proceedings that happened and the consequences. And thank you also for your commendation on the 45% we spend on the on staff versus other expenses, and we're doing our best to make sure that we uphold that. And that is a word of encouragement from your part. Thank you so much. And the jobs that are being created, yes, indeed, significant increase now with more funding, and it is our pleasure to really contribute towards that through the funding that we receive. The 140 million deferred, explain, and CFO will explain further also in terms of the surplus, as you've said, and the 896 cost breakdown that you've requested. The CEO will explain further. And last but not least, our Honorable Chairperson, you've also brought more emphasis on the same questions, especially also on the irregular expenditure and on accountability and consequence management, and what is being done to resolve those issues. And CEO and CFO will explain further on your very insightful questions. And you did say CFO has sort of clarified on some, but you really brought them back just for us not to miss those questions, and we really appreciate that, honorable members. So I would, if you don't mind, Chairperson, I'll ask the CEO to kindly just very quickly browse through some of the questions that I have left over, just to clarify issues, and then CFO. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. They must do so.
CEO.
Thank you very much, Chairpersons. Just to start on the one on the schools, we have had problems with the participation from the Western Cape province. It's basically, this thing is basically a voluntary type of work that we do in conjunction with SANParks and the Department of Basic Education. But we have been engaging with them so that all provinces are represented. We are hopeful that the next one, we will have all provinces represented. There was a direct question as to who resigned. The strategy head already replaced. HR head already replaced. Company secretary already replaced. Legal replaced on a contract basis. So these questions were linked to succession planning from our part. So as you know, we are a very small organization. In some cases, if you are talking about a division, we are talking of a division with 1 or 2 people. So it's quite a bit difficult to have this thorough succession planning. What we do is when opportunity arises to replace, we move with speed. Consequence management, as the chair said, we have reported on it. We have reported 3 cases as a minimum of some form of consequence management in our slides. Now, the issue of the cases and the disciplinary and the CCMA issue, our company secretary will touch on that if you agree to that. Then the Bishop Masaka, we have already agreed that the co-manager will touch that. But we dedicated 3 days out of 5 days last week to meet all provinces where the 27 RLHR projects are. And Bishop Masaka was one of those that we spend more time on, because it was acknowledged that there's an element of it being a white elephant, and there's a need for it to be repurposed and for it to deliver more value. But the core manager will touch more on that. Now, there was a question on the entities from the provincial structures. Usually, we don't really have official in provinces because some of our role, it's more or less similar to that which Sarah does. So what the minister did with us, he gave us a council member from each of the province, and those become our launching pad. So what we do with the provinces, we will then do mostly through those, and also just engagement with those specific provinces. Now, there was a question as to whether we only exist during the Heritage Month. That is our key issue, that heritage is an everyday event. And if we were to show you our calendar of events, if you look at the June month, we were commemorating the youth, and we had events lined out for that. And we would have events that befit whatever time, but according to the resources that we have. So our resources, our events are not only linked to the Heritage Month. They happen throughout. And now there was a question on, Chairperson, if you agree, I'm sitting with the CS here, Company Secretary, and he wanted to add a thing or two, if you agree.
Well, we do agree because of one information. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairpersons. All protocols observed. I'm going to respond to about 3 questions. The first one, there was a question on the CCMA award of about 900,000 that we needed to pay. This matter we've appealed the CCMA ruling based on the fact that we felt that the commissioner's conduct was unbecoming. The matter set down for the 6th of December 2023 in the Labour Court, so where it would be argued. And the other one is just to substantiate on what the chairperson and the CEO has spoken to with regard to the criminal cases that have been opened. There's been 3 cases that have been opened. The first one for the CEO, the case number is 312/12/2021. And there's another 2 that are opened, which is 481/10/2022 and 482/10/2022. This is in respect to including also the former CFO. The other question was from the chairperson, where she was asking what is it that we're going to do to ensure compliance and then we don't have these irregular expenditures. The CFO is going to touch on that, but I just wanted to highlight what the institution has done. The council has recently approved a compliance framework, compliance policy, and a regulatory universe, which details all the legislation that impact on the institution. So the executive committee has then approved the compliance monitoring plan, where we have identified in each and every quarter which legislations we are going to be monitoring. We have recently started doing the training on compliance, and we will then further roll out the training. So on a quarterly basis, we'll come in and we'll, as a secretariat and legal, will monitor the compliance and will issue reports that talks to whether we are complying. If we're not complying, assisting the divisions to put in mechanisms to make sure that we close those gaps. And on a quarterly basis, there will be report issued that will be tabled before the executive committee and ultimately to the audit and risk committee and to the council to ensure that council is aware of the non-compliance and the compliance. So that is one of the mechanisms that we've put in place to ensure that we avoid this non-compliance. Thank you very much.
Okay, and if the chair allows, we wanted our head of core to really give meat to the Bishop Massacre issue before the CFO. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, CEO. Good morning, Honorable Chair and members. All protocol observed. My name is Thabo Manetsi, and I'm responsible for the executive core business in the Heritage Council. On progress regarding the Bisho Maseka site, fortunately, we had an update meeting last week from the provincial department in the Eastern Cape, giving us progress thus far regarding the site itself. It appears that there is a service provider that has been appointed to develop the exhibition, which will form part of the content development of the interpretive center. And fortunately, the service provider was able to give us just a conceptual layout of the exhibition itself, how it will look like, the narrative that will be presented in the interpretive center as well. So this is still ongoing work that has started, fortunately, and has been sponsored by the province. And also from our side, we were able to provide 500,000 support towards the feasibility study right at the inception of the Bisho Maseka site, before they constructed also the center itself, to have this feasibility study, done, and it's now being implemented. Its recommendations are now being implemented, and one of the areas in which it's in progress is the exhibition design, and also looking also at various forms of alternative memorialization that comes with a project of this nature. So that's where the center is in terms of its progress at this point in time. We know that there is the Department of Tourism also that is looking at unlocking the tourism potential of the center itself, working with ECPTA, which is the Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism Authority, to do the aspects of tourism marketing, tourism product development, to enhance the site further so that it gets visitation. But all of this is still work in progress under the authority of the Eastern Cape Provincial Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. There was also a question around the marketing and promotion of heritage, local and international. At an international level, we have the national, we've got the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Route that is now in the process of being enlisted as a World Heritage Site. So we're working closely with UNESCO to have the site enlisted as one of our World Heritage Sites in South Africa. And the project is faring very well. And we recently had an evaluation meeting from ICOMOS experts and UNESCO experts as well, coming to assess our state of readiness in South Africa. And we are hopeful that in the next financial year, we'll be able to present and table our nomination dossier for potential acceptance, so that we have the Resistance and Liberation Heritage Sites proclaimed as World Heritage Site under UNESCO. Nationally, as CEOs indicated, every quarter we have a series of public participation initiatives, working with local communities, various stakeholders, traditional leadership, other heritage institutions, convening, for instance, seminars, intergenerational dialogues, cultural expression initiatives. They vary from province to province. So we're very active. Every quarter, we're able to account and report on our visibility, but also raising awareness about our heritage and the value of heritage in everyday life, around issues of social cohesion. How can we use heritage effectively to unlock economic opportunities in society? So there's a lot of initiatives that take place throughout the year. As CEOs indicated, we have a calendar of activities throughout the year that definitely provides our schedule of initiatives and activities that we embark upon every quarter, so that we're able to make inroads in local society, especially the impoverished, your rural communities where our heritage is still intact. And we work closely with rural communities and traditional leadership to become part and parcel of these important initiatives. I'll pause here, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Manetsi. And can we have CFO finalize our reporting before she comes in, Chair? I just want to, I think I left out Honorable Mamabulo's questions. And thank you, Dr. Mamabulo, for clarifying on my surname. The VHA is the BA, as you said, and thank you for that. I appreciate you asked the questions on the assets and versus the liabilities. And I mean, you did comment that, and the Provincial Heritage Council, in terms of provincial, and the CEO has explained that we have provincial representative on our council and international involvement as well. Ntate Manetsi has just explained as well that we've welcomed a UNESCO delegation. We also involved with the Seychelles. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Seychelles, and which the department is also leading. And so we are engaging on that front as well. And there are projects that are being done also in terms of our liberation route. It covers other SADC countries. And thank you for that. And I'll ask CFO just to take us quickly to round up our response. And apologies, members, if we have left out something, you can always raise those questions. Thank you. CFO?
Thank you, Chair. There was a question on the contingent liability of 100,000. The question was, what is it? That 100,000, it was possible legal costs that we stand to incur on the legal action, the CCM action against the former executive of core business. But I do need to report to the committee that in the current financial year, we've also gotten a successful cost order against the same former official, and they have actually reimbursed us. They've given us about 160,000. So should we need to pay another 100,000, at least we've received 160,000 from the former executive. So it won't be coming from our budget per se. There was a question on the recommendations from the AG if they're being implemented. Chair, our management report for the current financial year, it only has one finding. I think the ones for the previous financial year, we had about 26 findings on the management report. Hence, we needed a very big audit action plan. In the current year, there's only one finding regarding supply chain management, the irregular expenditure that was incurred. So we have, as part of developing an audit action plan, we have identified the root cause that caused this irregular expenditure. It's primarily the policies and the processes that we had internally that were not aligned with the current prevailing SCM legislation. We've dealt with that because we have reviewed the SCM policy. It was approved by the council and we're implementing it for the current financial year. Furthermore, we've also developed standard operating procedures to break it down to all the officials. How do we implement the legislation in our day-to-day procurement processes? We've also identified that another root cause is around the people that we have, that we might not have people. It's either they don't understand the legislation, or they are not aware of the legislation, or they do not know how to implement it. So we have implemented the consequence management. The chair did indicate that we have issued a final written warning, but we've taken it a step further. As we speak right now, we are going through a disciplinary hearing with the current SCM manager to deal with the people issues. So that is, in a nutshell, the action that we are taking to deal with the audit findings that were raised, which really it was only one on the current audit, on the current management report. There was a question regarding the breakdown of the legal fees. On our financial statements, it's about 6 million. Of that 6 million, 4.4 million, it's the actual legal costs, and about 2 million, it was on settlements for some of the former staff where we had to settle as a way of parting ways. But in the current financial year, our legal fees are very, very little compared to the previous financial year. We have not even spent 1 million in the current year. There's quite a huge decline in the legal costs. I think we are wrapping up the issues that we were fixing in the previous years, and it shows even in our costs in the current year. The legal unit has been allocated probably the least budget in the current financial year. There was a question around the consultants that have been used, if we've used any consultants in the current financial year. As the chair indicated, we have literally reduced the number of consultants in the current year. Just the breakdown of our expenditure, as I indicated, 6 million is on legal fees and the legal settlements. About 6 million is on the funding that we paid, then about 10 million on the normal heritage projects. I would say the only consultants that we had, it would be the internal audit, because the function is outsourced, but even that internal audit, we paid only 269,000 for it, as well as the legal fees and the forensic. But other than that, we did not really make use of consultants in the 22-23 financial year. There was a question around the deferred income of 140 million, that what is making it up. It is made up of about 52 million for the project management office. We receive a conditional grant from the Department of Sport and for the work of the PMO. So the portion that is currently unspent, which is deferred until such time that we are able to spend the money, is about 52 million. We have also, there's also about 62 million relating to the Presidential Economic Stimulus Project, as we indicated, that we receive money from Treasury for the Presidential Economic Stimulus, but we pay the money in tranches. We don't pay it at one go. So it sits there as a deferred income until such time that we've been able to fully disperse all the payments relating to this particular project. There was a question regarding the surplus of about 4 million, and the statement that was indicated that not all of it was a true surplus. Just to provide the figures of that surplus of 4 million that shows on the statement of financial performance, about 1 million of it actually went towards the purchase of our capital assets. We spent 700,000 to buy computers, 200,000 to buy office equipment, and 100,000 to buy furniture and fittings, and another 270,000 in the current financial year. So plus minus about 1.4 million was spent to purchase capital assets, which means the true surplus that was not spent, it would be plus minus about 2.6 million. There was a question about the unqualified audit opinion. Clarity was requested on what were the real findings that emanated. It's only one, Chair. It's around the irregular expenditure. Consequence management is dealt with. Financial statements was dealt with. There was not a single finding on those ones. We only have one finding on the management report relating to irregular expenditure, which is quite an improvement compared to last year, where there were plus minus 26 findings on the management report. There was a question regarding, I think it's the final question regarding the plans that you've put in place to achieve a clean audit. There is an internal committee, I'm a part of it, that has been set up by the CEO. We are the committee that is responsible for ensuring good governance internally within our operational structures. So we do meet on a very regular basis to monitor if there have been any instances of not just irregular expenditure, but fruitless expenditure, loss control, any allegations of fraud and corruption. So we do sit, the committee is chaired by the company secretary, and we do deal with all these cases. We follow the necessary processes. This is to make sure that we meet our timeline of making sure that by March 2024, all the irregular expenditure has been condoned. But also the fact that our policy now, we can safely say it is aligned with the current legislation, and we are also dealing with the people issues. Those are our plans to make sure that we get a clean audit report by the end of the financial year. I think, Chair, I've covered everything, but if there's anything I've missed, I can be alerted and I can respond to it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mbali. And just to finally add, I think what we left out from Tate Mamabulo is apparently a question on our amalgamation with SARA. As you would know, that entities of the department are in the process of merging and amalgamating, and that process is still ongoing, and we are waiting for a proper legislative review on our case, which would be required, and I'm sure members will know about that when it does happen. The department is leading that process, and the DDG would provide more clarity on that. Thank you, Chair. That is our attempt at responding to to the questions, Chair, and if there's anything left out, we're happy to respond again, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can Bali have your colleagues and yourself to say something? I thank you. Bali?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think
It's Mandi. You know, these Mbalis, even in the I'm very sorry,
It's
Mbali.
expected.
I'm sorry, Mbali.
no problem, Chair.
We have Mbali even on which entity? Is it AG or NAC?
NAC, no, AG, yes.
No, AG, yes.
Yes, but my other name is Mbali. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mbali, number 3.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. This Mbali, Chairperson, the correct Mbali Mandi is speaking now.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. I've been following the responses. I think where I need to make emphasis, because we are kind of implicated as the department, it's on the question on governance relating to the official who is also a member of other councils or boards. I think this is something that we are tracking very much. For example, where the member is or the official is a member in councils of DSEC, we are following the ethics and integrity framework that says this member cannot be paid whilst using the time of NHC in these councils. So that is respected. Of course, where the council of NHC feels like now we cannot allow you this time at our cost, for example, where she's attending to where it's not the SEC portfolio, the ethics and integrity framework, it does provide a framework that says the official must ask for leave. And I have checked and I've seen instances where she has asked for leave. So I'm saying, Chair, there is a framework that guides us how to manage this. And then I think the last one, Chair, that I think also has us is the issue, because these matters are often referred to the minister in terms of the cases that they are handling. Again, I can confirm their report to say that which they have reported, it's known to us according to the reports they have been submitting to the department. Our quest as well and desire is to see these matters closed as soon as possible and with as little cost to the entity as possible. Yeah. And then perhaps because Chairperson has touched on the issue of the amalgamation, I can confirm that that process has started indeed. Of course, it's taking different phases. The first phase, we're dealing with entities that are not subjects of legislation, whereas soon enough we'll be dealing with entities that are affected by legislation because the processes are not the same. I think at the right time we shall give a full report to the portfolio committee on this process. I know for a fact that we are just about to give Minister as officials working on the project the first report, and as soon as that report goes to Minister, I think there will be an update that's coming to the portfolio committee. Thank you, Chairperson. Other than that, I appreciate the questions and the thoroughness in responses that has been provided. by Chairperson of NHC and the team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mbali. Honorable members, these are our responses to us. I've seen the hand. Surely it's a follow-up question. Honorable Mhlongo.
Thanks, Chair. I apologize, Chair, if I'm not audible.
You
Chair, I
are.
wanted to find out do we have heritage inspectors for them to inspect or to monitor all our heritage sites? Or who is doing monitoring and evaluation on our side to safeguard the advocacy of ensuring the safeguarding of our site? And the last question, Chair, how many heritage sites do we have that are recognized by UNESCO? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. Mine is not a question, but it's going to assist us as this committee. I've listened in your presentation, and I'm suspecting the Honorable Van Dijk is coming late now. The Zoleka and Jabu, I'm hearing that in Northern Cape they are even having interaction with women Mahoshi leadership. So I'm suspecting as this committee coming in the first term quarter of us, I'm suspecting it's going to be our last one, that we must visit and check this. It's very important to us that when we are doing your strengthening of heritage and you look after traditional leaders. Honorable Van Dijk.
Sorry, Chairperson, for coming in late. Yes, I just want to say that I will put it in writing, the reports that we requested, and I cannot remember whether it was responded on how many boards the person sits that I asked the question on. But I also want, while that's my last question, if the chairperson is also a board member of SANParks. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Van Dijk. Chairperson, there's very few questions.
Yes. Just to Ms. Van Dijk, yes, I do sit on the SANParks board. And this is I think my second year on the SANParks board as a non-executive member there. And I think the other question from Ntate Mhlongo was on the World Heritage Sites. I can't really remember the number, but we've got and colleagues will just remind me, but we've got a number of World Heritage Sites that are listed on the UNESCO list as World Heritage Site from Mapungubwe, Ismangaliso, Robben Island, Cradle of Humankind, Friede Fort, Impact Structure, the Drakensberg, and and all of those, and members can add to that. But those are the sites that are duly enlisted, some of them, and heritage sites in terms of their management. That would be Honorable Mhlongo. That would be more a function of SARA, who have provincial structures that in provinces that look after heritage sites in terms of their management, in collaboration with local councils and local authorities, in rural areas where it concerns, but they have that function also to monitor the legislation on the governance and management of heritage sites. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Honorable members, can I take this opportunity to thank our department, to thank the leadership which we invited today with the very informative information. So now I'm releasing you all. We're going to do an in-house things as a committee. I thank you so much. You are released.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and honorable members. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members.
Thank you, Mbali. Thank you to all of you. Now, honorable members, we've got one set of minutes. The 14th ones. Yes, go up. Thank you, honorable members. Can I invite hands that you must adopt the minutes in front of us? Any adoption of minutes, honorable members?
Chair.
Are you having your jackets? Yeah.
Chair, I've raised my hands. Maybe you don't see me. I just want to move for the adoption of the minutes.
I do see your hand, and Honorable Sibiya now. Thank you so much, Honorable Malomane. The minutes are proposed to be adopted by Honorable Malomane, Honorable Sibiya.
Thanks, Chairperson. I'm seconding the adoption of the minutes by Honorable Malomane. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. Thank you so much with your diligent work that we are doing in the committee. Now the meeting is adjourned. Thanking all our staff members who are with us, for always giving us a support. We do appreciate your work. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, honorable members. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the staff.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.